Welcome to Public Access Punx, Episode 5, where we're talking about the Riot Before with Adam Gecking of Satan Records. We're here in the sandwich shop with Adam Gecking from Satan Records and from Satan Skate Products.
I make skateboards.
Skateboards, right on. We're going to talk about Satan, but we're also going to dive into a collection that came out in 2012 that Satan released, collection of songs and B-sides from the Riot Before.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about them, talk about that collection, and just catch up about what's going on with you and with Satan in general. You guys have been around for a while, or your label's been around for a while. Tell me how the label came about, though, because it has a you didn't just wake up one morning and say, okay, time to run a label.
No. Okay, so long story short, I'll try.
Long story's okay.
Yeah, brevity is not my thing.
Okay.
I used to own a record store back in Virginia Beach until 2000. The very beginning of 2009 is when I closed, like end of 2008, 2009. Yeah. And the Riot Before toured with the Menzingers, and they played my record store. I don't know if it might have been them playing my record store. It might have been the Fake Problems Riot Before tour that played my record store. Either way, one of them played my record store, and basically they were good dudes. They didn't have anyone putting out their record. It was like 2007, and so I was like, hey, this should exist. And then they were like, well, yeah, but no one's doing it. And I was like, well, fuck. So I guess that means somebody has to. And previous to that, like in years beforehand, I used to run a different record label, and I stopped doing that in 2003. And I was like, I'm never going to put out records again. It's a money pit. I don't like money, but sometimes you need money.
Right.
And it turns out I don't need money.
Okay.
So record label it is.
Record label it is. Satan pops up out of that while the record store is open, or are you running both at the same time?
Yeah, so I ran both at the same time for a little bit, and then the record label kind of came out of the back room of the record store, essentially, if you will. Sure. And then when the record store was closing because the economy tanked in 2008, unfortunately.
Right.
Sad violin music.
Yeah.
But basically, it was like a whole process that I had to figure out what I was doing. So then the record label didn't put anything out for a couple of years because I had to get money again and declare bankruptcy and do all that fun stuff that everyone loves. Right on. And then so I just kept doing the Right Before stuff. It first started with a split 7-inch with them and Broadway Calls, and then it did the Fist Buried in Pockets album, and then they did an album on Paper and Plastic, another record label, and then they broke up right when I was putting together the collection. Okay. And so it was a whole nightmare scenario where it was the first and only thing I've ever used Kickstarter to get money for. Yeah. We raised the money so we could make it. In the process, we also did a solo Brett Adams recording that never came out. It just stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. It was a weird time period, and things just seemed to fall apart and come back together.
So when you start the label, you're running the record store. Is that a help? Is that a hindrance? It seems like you could probably feed both things at the same time.
100%. I mean, like I would. My favorite thing about owning a record store is talking to people and playing music for them. Like that's what I do with the record label already. So it just made a lot of sense to partner the two, and I talked about music all day long. Yeah. So if I had somebody coming in that liked the music at all or had anything in common, I'd be like, here, check this out. This is great. And then I would sell it a little bit.
You're naturally promoting while you're working, one or the other.
Exactly. And I mean, no one gets into this stuff because, for money. You get into it because you fucking love it. Yeah. So it's a matter of like, if I'm passionate about something, I'm going to sell it twice as hard as if it was just something that's sitting on a shelf somewhere. Yeah.
So you have the Riot Before. You talked about releasing several things for them. Who else were you working with at the time or promoting at the time?
The only other thing... I signed like 3 things towards the beginning. I did the Riot Before. I did a rapper called GDP. Okay. And then I did a singer-songwriter called Brooke Pridemore. Okay. And Brooke Pridemore's amazing. Their new album just came out of my friend Matt's record label on Asbestos Records, so I love that. GDP stopped doing it for a while, but he ended up going on to make a lot of music with Run for Cover Records, and he even did a split with... My brain's broken today. He did a split that was great.
Okay.
Dirty Money is what it used to be. It was like a CD split. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And basically, he played in my record store as well. And then, I don't know if Brooke played in my store, but basically, the way I signed all the bands at first was they played in my record store, or somebody at the record store was like, here, check this shit out. And so it evolved.
They come play, and then it makes a natural evolution. So talk about the music climate. At that point, you're starting to create a label. You've go through the ups and downs of store closing, label exists but takes a hiatus, and things change. You've got the sort of the way punk is changing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You got also the change of running a label when physical medium is really becoming, I don't say unimportant, but substantially less important than it was, say, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. How do you adapt to that? How do you first of all, let's talk about the changing climate of punk, right?
Yeah.
You're moving away from kind of that 90s Epiphat sound, how do you look at the way punk sounds and punk is changing, say, from 2009 to even today? I think it's still there's a lot of stuff that's coming out now that sounds more like Bruce Springsteen and the Clash than it does, say, NoFX or Bad Brains or something like that, right?
Well, yeah, and I think the music like you said, the music's changed a lot, but I also think it's the consumer base. I think it's the matter of how people take in music. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a matter of, like, big bands don't need to do as much anymore. Like, the bigger punk rock bands, like the Epiphat bands, like you mentioned, it's like they're all so well established that they can play a handful of shows each year and make their money.
Right.
Where smaller bands kind of get eaten up, where they're touring, not making any money, and end up breaking up because they end up losing money in the long run.
Sure.
So I think that was the one of the hardest parts for music for that time period. Is, like, I would even say from the early aughts till that time, music changed drastically.
Yeah.
Because the people didn't buy CDs anymore.
Right.
People slowly stopped buying those because they got too expensive and got priced out. So then records started making their comeback, and, like, the first record store was like 2007, 2008 or whatever it was, and so that was starting to become a thing. And then it's been interesting just to watch, but it's also, like you said, with the trajectory of music in general, it's like, it's just, the type of music has changed.
Sure.
The bands have changed. It's actually not really getting younger, which is what is the sad part about it. It's all of us old people that still love it, and every now and again some young folks get involved, and it makes me stoked as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's just great to see. But it's like, it just needs to happen more, and we just need to make it more accepting and open for folks. But I don't know. I just think overall it's just evolved in a way that, like, I don't think anyone could have saw it coming in the 90s. And I think it's a matter of, like, we've all just kind of done what we can to help it exist. It's like there's no magic bullet, there's no answer that anyone can take, but just watching the music change has been great, though, and seeing the people, like, do stuff. So
as a label, how do you balance that whole physical medium versus content, right? Social media is just unbelievably important now. I think even the way that you distribute digitally is almost as important, I think, than perhaps how many 7 inches did you press of this or that. So, but let's get your opinion on that. So I hate the digital format. Okay. No, I take it back. I love consuming it. Like, everyone listens to music on the internet. It's an unfortunate part of life. But I hate the fact that, like, in order now to do anything, you have to satisfy the algorithm gods, essentially. Yeah. It's like, if a band puts out an album, 2 months from now they want to put out a single already, even though the album just fucking came out. Right. And it makes it so, I think, unfortunately, it makes it so people do not get as into things as they can. Because, like, previously, like, in the 90s, for instance, when a band put out a CD, that band's not making anything else for another 2 years. Right. So it's like, you just listen to that thing. You hammer it home. And, like, there wasn't a vast catalog of everything on the internet, so you actually, like, you absorbed it a lot more, I think. Whereas opposed to now, it's like the unfortunate climate is that people listen to an album a couple times, and then it just becomes background music at most. It's like it'll show up randomly on their Spotify thing, like, as one song after they listen to an album. Right. And it's like, that's just how it works after that. And so I think it's hard to get people to go backwards and listen to full albums. And I think that the way that things are set up now is not conducive to that. And I understand things are changing, and I'm the dinosaur. So it's just a matter of, like,
I know how I like it. It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone should take it that way, but I wish it was that way still. I wish people wanted to hear the same album over and over again. I want people to like know every drum beat and every like mumble that happens on it, you know?
Right. Yeah, interesting. You know, we were just talking about how Spotify does sort of feed you what it thinks you would want to hear next,
Exactly.
even though, and sometimes it might be so identical, you don't know that the band has changed. Like if you listen to an album, all of a sudden you're 5 songs deep and you're like, wow, this is a really long album. But suddenly you've gone from the Riot Before to just everything Spotify thinks that it's going to fit that niche that you're eating up at that particular time. It's
Exactly.
crazy. Let's talk about the Riot Before.
Hell yeah.
You talked about they played an in-store for you.
Yeah.
And what was the situation there that made sense for you guys to hook up and you'd assign them to the label?
Well, okay, so first of all, I'll let you know how I see the record label. The record label is not, I mean, I wish it was. It's not a for-profit venture, we'll say.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind it is, I think of it as more like an archivist type thing.
Okay.
And so if something I love does not have an album, even if the album already exists somewhere else, like I will help them make it.
Right.
And so with the Riot Before in particular, they had done something on quote-unquote records, and they've done like 1 7-inch before this, and then they had no one helping them.
Okay.
And so like basically after they played there, I talked to them a little bit, and they didn't have any real direction. Unfortunately, making music costs money.
Sure.
And then it turned into a thing where like they weren't going to do it for who knows how long. And then
Right.
so I was like, well, look, I don't have much money, but I'll help pay for the studio kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we put them in with my friend Pedro in Richmond, and it came out great. And that's how the Fist Parade and Pockets album happened. But it's just kind of like the small steps to get them there was just, you know, talking to them and being like, hey, this should be a thing.
Okay.
Like it's more or less being a cheerleader and just helping folks where they can.
Yeah. So really, you just decided this is something that needs to get out there. It needs to get promoted.
100%.
It needs to be.
It needs to exist.
Yeah. The split with Broadway Calls was your first release with them,
Yes.
right?
It was first released with the label, first release with Right Before, yeah.
Fantastic. And how did Broadway Calls, you know, is out of, what are they, out of Rainier, Oregon? I mean, they're like
Not close.
Not even Portland and not even Richmond. So how did that all happen?
Honestly, I do not remember.
Really?
I think that,
Okay.
I'm fairly certain they are friends with the Right Before guys.
Yeah.
But the songs that are on the 7-inch split, the Broadway Calls dudes hate that recording.
Oh, really?
So they will not, like, if you talk to them about it, they look at you like you're an asshole.
Disavowed.
Exactly. It's like, hey, we don't know about that one. And
Yeah.
you're like, no, the songs are great. It's just a shitty recording. And like,
And so let's not talk about Broadway Calls. We're not here to talk about Broadway Calls.
I love them. Sorry, guys.
I like them too. So, you know, but the Riot Before, let's talk about the songs that did get on that split.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
So 2 of the songs on the split it was Take That the Government and I don't remember. Either way, they ended up on the collection album eventually, but
Yeah.
the split was just it was good timing. And,
Yeah.
and the Riot Before was like they're one of those bands. They're touring with all the right bands. They were in the right place or I guess the wrong place at the right time because
Yeah.
they were touring with everyone else that got super popular, and they were just like they were just one of the hardest working bands in punk rock at the time. Like they toured their asses off. They had a good message. All the dudes were like super sweet humans.
Yeah.
Like I loved them, even though some of them are affable fuck ups.
Right.
They're just they're good, and it's like so. It was one of those things like they deserved it more than anyone else in my brain at the time, and
Yeah.
so it just should have existed better. It should have been huge, and they should have been like the next big thing.
Right on. And so then you move on, Fist Buried in Pockets, you know, comes out. And then how did this collection come about, though? That's what we're really chatting about.
Yeah, so the collection essentially was... Okay, so they did Fist Buried in Pockets, and then after that, they did an acoustic version of some of the Fist Buried in Pockets song, which I unfortunately didn't help out with because I was broke at the time. It was when I was moving and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I closed the store in Virginia Beach, moved to Richmond, did all that fun stuff.
Yep.
And then then they hook up with Paper and Plastic Records to do their final full length.
Okay.
And it was fucking great.
Yeah.
And then basically I was talking to them right as they were breaking up, and they have the very first album, which was on quote unquote records, like I mentioned earlier. And then they have these 2 7-inches, one of which is the one I made with Broadway Calls, and another one called So Long the Lighthouse.
Yep.
And then they have a couple songs that were never put on anything. And so it's basically the collection album is it's not just B-sides, it's literally their first album. It's all the 7 inches, and then it's some unreleased songs as well as like a couple acoustic songs by Brett. And at the time, it was just great. It was fun. It was a fun thing to put together, and it's like no one was doing it. It was stuff that should have existed. It was the first double LP I ever made, which I didn't realize how expensive that was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I tell everyone with the record label, it's like, if you think you're going to make money, if you like money, don't run a record label. Don't start a band. Don't they're not investments.
Don't buy a boat.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's like they're not.
It's on the list.
Yeah, these things are not investments. It's like you're gonna go into it, and like if you're not expecting to lose every fucking dollar you put into it, you're gonna be sad.
Yeah.
And so like my thought process is every record I make, I go in expecting to lose every dollar I put into it, and I go the opposite route. So if I sell one record, I'm like $10 fucking dollars. You know, like.
And so you talked about kind of the archivist mentality that you had with it. What are your feelings about those songs? I mean, what made you just say, this has to exist, this has to get recorded so other people can see it and other people can hear it?
Well, I mean, with them in particular, it's like Brett had, especially even still, like his songwriting was just different. The way he structured his lines, the way he sang them. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everyone does things differently. People are great at what they're doing, so it's not shitting on anyone. But I just think that like his songwriting ability was fucking great.
Yeah.
And I mean, the one thing I'll say about Brett, which I don't know if you would like, the way Brett talked about punk rock was like he just found it. And what I mean by that is he was so stoked on it. He was amped on it. It was like when you first find it when you're like 12 and you love this shit. It's everything in your life. And so I think the problem was he got so excited about this thing and he did it. He put his whole heart into it. He put all of his effort into it. And then when it didn't work out the way that he wanted it to, it crushed him. And he has not played music since.
Wow.
So it's like it sucked because it was like we did this collection for him and we were going to put out a 7-inch with him and we recorded these songs and then those songs never came out anywhere because it just didn't make sense. And with him, it was like, I love the dude. I wish he would play music again. And he's one of my favorite songwriters. So,
yeah. So, Brett famously, I think, last show those guys played or Brett played was local. It was in Durham here, from what I understand. And then, so not playing music at all.
Nah, he's now I want to say whiskey drinker or makes bourbon maybe. He like makes his own.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the one thing I'll say about him is he's a very smart dude.
Yeah.
And like his brain works in ways that mine never will.
Yeah.
For better or worse. And like, I mean, I don't drink additionally, but I mean, he also is very focused on things. He gets 100% invested into things. And like where I have ADHD and try to focus on 100 different things at the same time and suck at all of them, he focuses on one thing and fucking masters it.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about other guys in the band? Are they doing anything? Are you working with them still at all? Or?
I'm friends with them. I mean, well, I'm really friends with one of them in particular, but he just got in a motorcycle accident, so that's fucking crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, my friend Corey lost his arm.
Oh, no.
Yeah. People shouldn't get in motorcycle accidents, it turns out.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. This collection's been out for almost 12 years. It still holds up, man. It's a great listen. It definitely is. I don't know. When Scotty and I have what we call punk rock therapy and discuss stuff that still is out there and people ought to be listening to, he always brings up the Riot Before. And so to know that this exists and to have this sort of archived, that was your phrase. It's a fantastic thing to have out there. What's going on now with Satan in general? Label, skate. What are you doing?
So skateboards I do few and far between anymore. Like there's a couple planned that I still have to do for 2026, but last year I made 14 records.
Okay.
Which, if you know anything about music, it means that I had like 8 or 9 pallets of records dropped off at my house. I don't have a house really anymore. I have a warehouse, and like to get from one room to the other is more like a walkway between stacks of boxes.
Oh wow!
But it's what you love. The cats like it. But the record label, like I said, did 14 albums last year. I'm probably going to go down to like 8 to 10 in 2026. I kind of overcommitted last year, and I feel bad for some of the bands because I didn't as a small like single person business. I can't focus on things the way that I would love to, or I don't have the money to put into the PR stuff. I just kind of help where I can.
Right.
And so when I did 14 albums, it was not intentional. It made it so I had a hard time giving everyone as much as I should, and I mean, I did the same thing I did for him normally, but I felt like I could have done more, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And so it's something where I'm always going to run the label. I just need to slow it down a little bit. And like I've been talking to a couple people about possibly not jumping in as helpers, but like maybe like being not an investor, even just maybe being like a partner in the record label, because it would be great if I had some of the weight off my shoulders sometimes, because like, you know, I still work a full-time job.
Yeah.
This is what I do for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of slowed down over the last couple of years, but like 2 years ago, like, so 2024, I shipped out over 7,000 orders that year.
Wow.
And so it's like 20 plus a day.
Yeah.
And when you're working 40 hours a week and then doing that, there's no time off.
Right.
And so like things slowed way down this last year. I'm no longer working with one of the artists that was doing really well, but it's something that it's just been a great thing to learn. And like, I don't think of it as a business.
Yeah.
I don't think of it as like an entity. It's more just something fun that I love. And it's like, I think that if anyone's doing it for any other reason, same thing as being in a band, you're just going to be sad.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, these are things that if you don't love it, why do it? Why waste your time?
Right.
Because if you think it's money, it's like, you'd have more money if you just put it in an account, not even like an interest-bearing account. Like if you just put it in an account somewhere and didn't use it for anything.
Bury it in the yard for a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let
Like,
it age.
Exactly. Like a government bond that gets you zero interest on the same amount would have more money in it than putting out a record.
Right on. So one person we're really stoked about is everybody's worried about Owen. He recorded here at the Sandwich Shop, and I guess that was now officially last winter, not this winter. It's January 2nd, so it's a new year. Lots of streams are just through the roof on Spotify. Really successful.
But Owen's one of the sweetest humans. I mean, like they're
for sure.
They're 23.
Yeah,
and like they work their ass off. They like touring and playing music still. It's kind of like I was saying earlier about people being young and like caring. It's not, I wouldn't say it's few and far between. It's just we're old, so we don't know these people anymore. So when I was introduced to Owen's world, I was stoked as fuck.
Yeah,
because like seeing this person that really just wants to like do things and like take on the world still. It has that like, I mean, for lack of a better term, like I don't have the responsibilities or the family, so I get to do things I love.
Yeah.
I mean, and not saying people don't love their families, but
no, I get it. Yeah, they have a really grab you by the throat sort of sound, and it was very clear when they were in the Sandwich Shop recording last. I don't know, it's just gutsy, right?
Yeah.
Just it's, you know, voice, guitar, kind of Americana, kind of punk. Maybe that's the same thing nowadays. You know, I think Bruce Springsteen's a punk, quite frankly. I mean, it's that same sort of you know, grab you up with that passion sound that it gets you stoked. And I love seeing their success you know, being played out digitally, because you can watch it, you can see how people are responding to it.
Yeah,
and people love it. Agreed.
And I think that they're one of the bands, they're one of the artists that I think has just a limitless future kind of thing in front of them. And sure. I think it's more or less that like we have a couple singles, or not a couple singles, a couple cover songs we're going to be releasing eventually to help promote the album and just to help promote things. Like one of them is a Phoebe Bridgers cover, which I'm stoked on. Cool. And then the other one is a cover by Art Sorority.
Okay.
And it's funny because Owen introduced me to Art Sorority, and now I'm reissuing the Art Sorority album that has the song that Owen covered on it. It's like but again,
circle, spiral, it all comes around.
It goes back to the Archivist thing though. Like it was never on vinyl.
Right.
And after I heard that song, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. So it's just, then I was like, I'm going to put this out too now.
Yeah,
and it's just, I love the energy that they have. I love what they're doing. And like, not even like the message, I think of it as more like a singer-songwriter, emo, folk punk guy. But it's anywhere in that umbrella.
We could genreify that. I mean, it's tough because it goes a bunch of different ways. You know, you could put synthwave behind it and make it that sort of thing. I mean, it
could be dance.
It could be dance, right? Absolutely. So cool. Well, Adam, thanks for coming into the Sandwich Shop. We appreciate you talking about what's going on. We love the Riot Before and that collection. If you haven't listened to it, folks, go grab it. It's out there on Spotify. A bunch of different ways to get it. If you stick around, we got some questions for you from the little after hours thing here.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no
thanks
worries.
everybody. Hi guys. Thanks for listening to Public Access Punx. For more bonus content, check us out on Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you like what you've heard, leave us a comment. It helps us out.